hello. Welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, episode 23. I'm your host, Jacob Rush, and I am with my co-host, Ryan Black, and we are back and we are playing with power. Ryan, how's it going?
It's good. I mean, I'm Switchless right now, but it's good still.
I know. I didn't want to bring it up, man. I knew it's a touchy topic, and we're all switching it up.
It's at the big end getting repaired, so... Well, you know, I've been playing my 3DS a little bit more, so it's getting some love, which I'm sure a lot of 3DSs out there are pretty lonely.
That's true. Well, at least you got your 3DS. Well, we're not alone, everybody. Welcome back to our co-host, our part-time co-host, Tom Qualls. Va, Tom. How's it going?
Ta-da, I'm back. I told you I would be.
Va. You guys know what that's from?
Va. That, oh, man, is that Breath of the Wild? Is that in Breath of the Wild or no?
Yeah, it is.
Aha, see? Yeah. By the way, just beat Breath of the Wild last night.
Congratulations
on that. Yep, thank you very much.
Yes, congratulations.
What was your final percentage?
Oh, I after beating Ganon, that was at 19.2%, something like that.
Did you go for all the shrines, or?
I had 71 finished when I beat him. So, I mean, I still got plenty to finish up. Yeah, it was one of those things that kind of had a draw to me. Hey, man, you got to go. You got to beat Ganon. And I just kept feeling the pull. Every time I was like, yeah, but let me get a couple more hearts. It was like, nah, right. Man, you got this. Go do it.
Oh, I know that feeling. I'm fighting it like... Every time, like I picked up like Breath of the Wild, I'm like I should go do it. No, I have to beat all the shrines first.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what, I can come back to it. So I went ahead and beat him. Got the good ending because I got all my memories back, and not the good ending. There's just like an extra scene.
Right. I know what you're saying. Like I keep playing the game, and I just keep putting it off. Like I was messaging for Kevin, who has been a guest on the show from Play Some Video Games today. I was just saying, like, I keep putting it off. Like today, I actually did more side quests than I have done the entire time I played because, like, yesterday I beat the camel. I beat that temple, and I'm saving the Death Mountain as my final temple. I know he's not the hardest, but I don't know. It's just kind of about fire and brimstone to lead up before you go into the final boss with Ganon. I think is appropriate.
Yeah, I did him last. Too.
Okay, cool. I don't know. I just keep kind of putting it off because like the game is so good and like I'm loving the experience. I don't want it to end, and I'm kind of getting sad. The more I complete, the more I get sad. Like I finally did it today. Right before I stopped to get on this show, I could have done it a long time ago, but I just finally unlocked my final region, so the full map is filled out now, and
and it feels so good.
Felt good, but it also felt sad. But also, man, every time like I go, like I am at 89 shrines, I think now completed. 89
oh goodness, yeah.
In my 90s, either I'm early 90s or very end of 80s. I know that. But
man, I thought I was doing pretty good.
Yeah, it is a lot. Don't get me wrong. I just keep thinking like, where the heck are these extra shrines? Like, I feel like I've looked the whole place. And what's funny is doing these side quests, I've come across shrines in old areas that I've been through. I'm like, how did I miss that? Like, that was right there. Like, how did I miss that? I think I found 2 or 3 shrines today, just in areas I had been through multiple times. Just sitting there.
Yeah.
I didn't even look at. It's kind of funny.
Didn't have to do anything special. Yeah.
You what?
I still haven't found. I guess there's a shrine with a bandana. I don't know. I missed the bandana somewhere. The climbing bandana or whatever.
Yeah.
I completely missed that.
Yeah, I can't remember where it was.
I don't know where it is.
I don't know where it is either, but I got that like right at the start of the game. I remember like.
Yeah, totally missed it.
It was one of the first extra outfits I ever had.
Yeah, I got all 3 pieces, but I could not tell you where a single one of them came from.
Yeah, I know. That's the hardest part. Some people ask, "Oh, where'd you get this? Where'd you get?" Anybody? Like, man, I don't know.
Man, I don't know. Yeah.
Or which shrine was where? Don't even ask me what shrine was what. I just
Oh yeah. I'm not memorizing all those names. Yeah.
You what?
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's
I
like
know
one
where
of the
the
only
Twin Peaks
ones.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the Twin Peaks. Yeah, I was gonna say that's one of the only ones that I can name you off the top. It's like, oh yeah, it was the twin ones. Other than that, I have no idea.
Yeah, that one was confusing. Yeah, I had to. I literally just took pictures with my phone, went in one, and went back into the other one because the Twin Peaks, they correspond with each other.
Yep.
And like they're the opposite of how you do it. So I literally just took a picture with my phone, went in each one and looked at it.
Man, you gotta use those switch features, dude. I took a screenshot, and then I went to the other one, took another screenshot, and then I went inside my switch pictures, looked at it, then I did it.
I guess that you could do that.
Yeah, man.
You could do that, or
Let the Switch live up to its potential, you know.
Sure. Well, that's what I have been doing with Zelda, and that wasn't even on the topic list. Isn't that funny? How about that? So, it's all good. So, guys, while we're starting the show here, Ryan and I would like to highlight something we're trying to push a little more. We haven't really pushed it very much, and we really are trying to get our fans to just reach out to us, tell us what they think of the show, and go on our iTunes account. Give us a 5-star review if you don't mind, and give us a nice little comment in the area, because the better reviews we get, the more our name's going to pop up, and it's going to help us reach out to even more people to get a bigger crowd. And again, like we've told you guys all along, Ryan and I have things we want to do, but we just need to wait till we're a little bit bigger of a show to where we can start unveiling things that we want to do more. So. But we actually addressed that last week, and we did get a response. We did get a rating, and it was actually our first negative review, ironically.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, it is what it is. And, I mean, gives us feedback, and whether we agree with some of it all or not, we take it and we can learn from it. And but it doesn't help us grow in popularity at all, and to grow our show. So, but go out there, guys, and just try to, if you don't mind, go ahead and do that for us.
Yeah, that's a big deal to be able to get those, to be able to show up higher on the different sites, as a podcast, because that's what helps the community grow. Also, you want to have a nice conversation with somebody, you want to have a nice trip way back in time with your nostalgia with someone else. That's how you get more people to do that with. And plus, not to mention on iTunes, I mean, come on, guys, we're all Nintendo players. We like collecting stars, all right? You got to get them up there. You got to get as many stars as possible, all right?
That's right. That is so right.
And unlike Mario 64, we're not stopping at 120, okay? We got to keep going.
Got to keep on going. Reach for the stars. There's many, many stars to be reached for. But we just wanted to throw that out there, guys. And, again, we appreciate you listening and always being here for us. And for those of you who do interact, we love talking with you. So don't be afraid to talk to us, because we're going to talk right back with you and jump into the love that we share for this company and the games that are brought to it. But with that said, guys, let's jump into the news and conversation. Tom is back, and he has been back playing with power. So we're going to let him go first. What have you brought for us this week to discuss about, Tom?
All right, I got a fun one for us, okay? In perusing at all the news and looking at all of these things, and, the Switch gets a firmware update with nothing special in it. I was looking at some things, and then I saw this bad boy a few days ago. Nintendo has officially accepted a real-life cow milking challenge.
What?
That's right. So Billings Farm and Museum in Vermont wrote a letter to Nintendo and said, hey, we saw your Switch. We saw that there's a game where you milk cows. And they said, basically, you make it look too easy. And to be honest, you guys go a little slow. That's what they told. Yeah, that's what they told them in this. So they challenged Nintendo to a cow milking competition, to which Nintendo accepted.
What?
They said, okay, we'll come up here and milk those cows, and we'll show you what's what. So there's going to be a team from the Billings Farm and Museum in Vermont versus a Nintendo team milking actual Jersey cows.
Are you serious? That's hilarious.
Yep, it's going to happen. And, I'm sure they'll be playing a lot of 1-2 Switch to prepare themselves.
Yeah.
I might start with a YouTube video of how to milk an actual cow. But hey, you know what? More power to them. Go for it, guys. I would see. Of course, I got this dream in my mind now that Nintendo's going to show up and be like, we've been playing 1-2 Switch. And they're going to be like, yeah. And then Nintendo's going to beat them. Because if you've played the cow milking game on 1-2 Switch, you know that it's not about speed. They're talking about you guys do it too slow. It's not about speed. It's about quantity.
Right.
How much milk can you get out? So I think maybe, possibly, or at least I think it would be really funny that Nintendo would show up with like half a bucket more of milk because they were playing the 1-2 Switch version and learning how to milk cows that way. But I'm excited to see where that's going to go.
Wow.
Because I'm going to be following that story and seeing how it shapes up, because then I'll show up on the show one day, at least for the news section, and be like, guys, Nintendo just milked a bunch of cows.
And one.
Yeah. So this was Nintendo of America, obviously.
Yeah.
They just sent it over to Japan.
No, that's hilarious. That's a great way for publicity, though. Good move by Nintendo
absolutely.
for accepting it. Very cool.
Yes. I bet they'd be smart enough, too, to say, okay, if you beat us, we'll give you all a Switch.
I hope.
Knowing full well they're giving everybody a Switch,
Right. That'd be cool. Did you see when this is going to actually take place?
No, they haven't set a date or anything, but even the letter itself, you can get onto Nintendo's official Facebook account, and they had the letter that they said challenge accepted to, and you can read it.
Oh, okay.
That's so
So
cool.
there was no date set or anything yet, but basically Nintendo was like, yeah, we got this. We can do this.
I hope Reggie Fils-Aimé shows up himself to milk a cow.
Oh yeah. He's got to.
That would be hilarious.
That is, unless he's too busy planning this big E3 that he recently said he's cooking up.
Yeah.
Not to step on anybody else's news story.
Oh, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't write that down for my news. They completely forgot to even bring that up. Gosh, Tom, always on top of things.
I got you.
We could talk about that for a second. Guys, what do you think? What do you make of, is this just president talk, building it up? Because, some people say, oh, it's just Reggie. He always says crap like that, and you can't take it too serious. And I'd say the past maybe 5 E3s, we've all gone in there with high hopes, and we've all been let down drastically. Like maybe you get a piece of what you're hoping for, or maybe you get a little something you didn't expect, and like, okay, that's cool, but we never come out with – we haven't had an E3, I think, in a long time to where, like, that was everything we wanted and more. You know what I mean? Like, we just blew the doors off. Like, Zelda was great, and they took away E3 last year, but it was still different. It's not the kind of E3 we want. We already knew about Zelda. I want games, man. I just want – they did that a while back. It was just game after game after game after game. That is just give me a list of games and show them off. What do you think, Ryan?
I think like the big E3, the big memorable one was Reggie's first like appearance on stage, and was at E3.
I remember that.
His first like just bam in your face, like he was intimidating, and it was awesome. And I think that he has softened up quite a bit, but his body is still ready, and I think he's going to bring I think this is going to be great. I think we're going to probably see a hybrid of both live show and then like as if like, point to the screen and then go to the digital parts and stuff. I think we're going to see that again because that really worked back then. And I think it'll work now, but we'll see what they do. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they got some stuff hidden in their sleeves because, we didn't have too much as far as launch games, and that's fine. We've had less. Again, I still remember the N64, so we've had less before over a longer period of time. But I'm telling you, they got some stuff in their pockets. They have to have that in there, and I know they do. They're going to bust out something new. Ryan, I'm feeling you, man. I'm telling you, maybe they're going to drop some Metroid news.
They're going to. They are going.
It's going to be something.
I really hope so.
It's going to be something big because you look at this year. Even if they just release what they've told us they're going to release for this year, we're looking at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which, upon further inspection in my books, might as well be a 9, and not Mario Kart 8. So it's going to be awesome. You got Splatoon 2, which maybe we'll talk about the test fire later, but that's going to be great. Then, I mean, even if you just wait from there and there's nothing else that comes out, you got Mario Odyssey at the end of the year. And that's, I mean, that's just those 4 titles with those and then Zelda, at launch. What do you need? Like, what do you need for the rest of the year, honestly? But I know that they're still going to have all kinds of stuff. I know they have a lot planned probably digitally. I'm sure the virtual console's coming back. I'm sure they're going to be adding stuff to the hardware, the Switch. I'm sorry, to the user interface of the Switch. So I'm sure we'll get the streaming apps, Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, all that stuff. I think that stuff's coming.
Themes,
but what's that? Themes, yeah. You got to have it.
Cool.
Oh yeah. So, that's a good one. Put that on the bingo card, Ryan. I think you're gonna get a bingo with that one. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I know they have to have something in that pocket that's gonna blow us all away. I'm waiting for the Smash Brothers Deluxe also.
Yep. I wonder what that 4th amiibo that they announced is going to be, because we have 3. We have the 3 characters, and it could be a gender swap for what is it?
Corrin?
But
Possibly.
it could also be a new character. But I'm curious to see what they do with that.
I'd rather be a new character.
Totally could.
Maybe it's Master
Totally
Hand.
could. Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's Ridley. Everyone wants Ridley.
Ridley for Smash.
Or Shrek. Remember that?
Shrek.
Everyone was putting in like
Shrek
or Mickey
Why?
Mouse. Like, I don't want those guys in the game. No one wants them in the game.
Hey, my vote was for Lloyd, so.
There you go.
Yeah, I honestly, if Smash is Deluxe is announced, which I'm sure it will be, I don't really care. Like, I'd rather just have the new Smash, like the next one beyond it, which we probably won't get for a while anyways. So like, Smash Deluxe doesn't really do anything for me. But again, I had a lot of issues with that Smash Bros. But I'm really thinking we're going to get a Metroid drop. I do think we'll get some from there.
Metroid Care Package.
Oh, jeez. That'd be awesome. Pokemon. I really think we're going to get a big Pokemon Switch announcement.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this isn't like our E3 prediction episode or anything, but kind of things off the top of my head, I think we'll see.
We're going to get Animal Crossing. At least the app. The phone app.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
At least that.
Oh, don't forget they said they're going to do 3DS stuff and Switch stuff. So
yes.
If you want my true guess, I really think we're going to get a Metroid 3DS and adaptation, and we're going to get a Switch adaptation for like a full 3D game and more of a side-scroller game. Just like they did with the Fusion and Prime games way back in the day, they had a double release of Metroid. I think they're going to do the same thing with Switch and 3DS, which, my goodness, would be amazing. Would be absolutely amazing if they could do that. So, that's cool. I think I take Reggie seriously. I think we're actually going to have a good E3. I really do. I just feel it with all the hype of the Switch and everything. So, and with the lack of announcements that they've had the past, honestly, 2 years, like last year they said Zelda. The year before it was actually really disappointing because they only, I think, announced like 1 or 2 new games. They re-showed off games that were like, we already knew were coming, or had like Yoshi Woolly World. They had a big segment about Yoshi's Woolly World 2 E3s ago. It's like the game was already out in like Japan and stuff. It hadn't reached America yet, but it was like, we already know about this game, So
funny,
no surprises.
I think they got a lot hidden that they're going to show off. So,
and funny you mentioned Yoshi's Woolly World, because I got something about that here, maybe in the next segment.
Go. You can say it off right now if you want. Go for it.
Oh, I was about to say I totally got Yoshi's Woolly World and started playing that. So,
nice.
Been playing that a little bit. I was like, you know what? It's time to go back and hit all these Wii U games now that I haven't picked up yet. And that was one that I wanted to play. I found it for a good price, and I was like, okay, you're coming home with me, baby.
Good pickup. That's a good, cute, charming game. It's fun. Ryan, you got some news for us, man?
Yes. It's a bit obscure, but the DSi shop is being shut down.
What? No.
So if you had a DSi, you get your games now because they're going away. Well, sort of. I mean, most people skipped, like they went from DS to 3DS. They skipped the DSi completely. It was a very small span of time where the DS had internet features and had an online eShop, and it was really their first foray into such things. And so it was a thing, and I forgot about it for a while. But I ported my old DSi games over my 3DS when I upgraded, and I got my old Zelda game, which actually is not on there anymore. There was a free Zelda game that came out for DSi, and it's no longer on the shop. You can get it.
Was that the Four Swords adventure?
It was Four Swords, not the adventure, just Four Swords.
Oh, Four Swords. Okay, yeah.
It was the original 4-player, I guess, but it had some extra things to it as well.
Weird.
But that was taken off. It's going to be taken down. You can still access it from the 3DS. There's a DSiWare section. I just put in DSi, and you'll see a ton of titles. Some things you might have missed. There's a Need for Speed Nitro X. I don't know if you're a big Need for Speed person. They had Risky's Revenge, Shantae. They had that on there. There was actually a SteamWorld game on DSi. Completely didn't know it existed. It's a tower defense game.
Huh.
And I wonder if it's one of their first ones, because DSi, of course, predates all the SteamWorld stuff that they announced. So I'm kind of curious if they have anything others that are in the past that we may not have caught. They released the classic Earthworm Jim on the DSi shop.
Yeah.
Some people were into Mr. Driller on the DS. They had a sequel to that on the DSi. You can get Dragon's Lair 1 and 2 on the DSi shop. Old Rayman,
Okay.
Looks pretty cool. There's a Bomberman game on there. In fact, that was what I was playing before the new Bomberman came out on Switch. I'd still play that.
Which one was that?
Bomberman Blitz is what it's called.
Blitz. Okay.
It was pretty simple.
That.
It was fun. There was a Dragon Quest game called Dragon Quest Wars. I have no idea what it's about. It looks kind of maybe tiles or cards or something, because it shows pictures of monsters on tiles. And that's something to check out. And most DSi games were $5. And there's a lot of phone type games and things like that and applications.
I think the only one I had on there was it was a fighting game maker where you take pictures of your friends and
oh yes.
The Photo Dojo, I think, or something.
Yes, exactly what that is. Yes.
Yeah. That was fun.
The Art Academy games. There's a Lesson 1 and Lesson 2. I don't know if they started on the DSi, but they're on there.
I feel like they did.
There was a Puzzle League Express. There's a lot of Express games. They had a Brain Age Express. They had a couple of those. Dr. Mario Express. You could get individual Electroplankton apps. But if you missed out on the full game from Club Nintendo or whatever it was called at the time, you can get individual ones. There's a WarioWare game on there. Unfortunately, I couldn't play it because I have glasses. If you have glasses, you can't really play it because it can't recognize your face. It uses the camera to do weird motions. It wasn't the best Wario iteration, but it did try to use the system's features to the best of its ability. And then for those who actually nobody really cares. I don't think that Nintendo owns the Mariners anymore, but there is a Nintendo fan network that you can find out all the news about the Mariners.
Oh, well, there we go.
So,
but so they just sold them, didn't they? Didn't they sell the Mariners, I think, recently?
Yeah. It was, I think it was still last year, possibly. Maybe it was beginning of this year, but yep.
Yeah, I think I think that was one of the things when that news broke that they're selling the Mariners. I go, time out. I forgot they own the Mariners. But that's cool that you can keep up with all the Mariners news on your DSi.
So if you missed those gems, I also played. There was a mixed messages game. It was kind of like a telephone Pictionary for DSi, and then there was a game called Castle of Magic. It was charming. I don't think it was any developer that's well known or anything, but it was kind of cool to see some of these developers that are out now for the Switch, the SteamWorld stuff that they're working on, and just seeing them something that was on DSi back when, digging up old fossils. I feel like. Yeah.
That's great.
Well, guys, what I brought to the table today, it is nothing crazy. I got a little ukulele update.
There it is.
Obviously, I got to update you all because I know you all want ukulele like me. So there is not much of an update. I just saw a little article today. Clearly people are getting their codes for their system who review the games, and I'm trying to avoid it all. And it's like, because it's like, I don't want any spoilers. Like, I don't even like it. I don't even like seeing like people play footage of the levels, because it's like, no, I want to see those levels the first time I play them. Which is weird, because like back when I was a kid and I'd be at my buddy's house, like that didn't bother me, but it does now. And it's like, I want to experience it for the first time. So I have been listening to some things here and there. I try to avoid seeing things in the game. I don't want to talk too much about the JonTron stuff that happened last week. I mean, it is what it is. It's not going to stop me from getting the game, that's all a whole different story and topic that I don't really feel like needs to be brought up, in shows like this. We come to our shows to get away from politics and social issues and whatever the matter was. I don't even know the whole detail of the story, but we're not going to get into that today. I'm excited for Yooka-Laylee, and I really hope that it inspires the 3D platformer to come back from other creators. I think honestly it inspired Nintendo, because you got Mario Odyssey coming. Once you saw Yooka-Laylee has been in development since like 2015. So it's like Nintendo very easily could have saw the reception they got back for Yooka-Laylee and like, hey, let's do Mario. People want a sandbox Mario game. So I'd say it's a fair amount of time to be starting on a game like that. So
I think that Kickstarter really did spark that revival of those types of games, because you see like Crash Bandicoot getting remastered.
Yep.
And Skylanders just went away. But that originally is rooted in Spyro, so we may see a return of Spyro, and they have a lot to draw from with the Skylanders universe. So if they made just a Spyro game with like those characters that like you meet and stuff, that would be kind of interesting. But a lot of these things that you'll see come around again, like these, like even then, like I don't know, like can you think of anything that you would play? I think was there any like 3D Bomberman that could come around, or like did they have a 3D Rayman?
They did. That was the only Rayman I actually ever played and really enjoyed. I
played the knockoff. I beat it, but there was a tonic.
Yeah, he had like this little light ball he could like throw at people. That's how he attacked people. He could throw this little ball of light.
Yeah, I want to say it was a 64 title, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. I remember borrowing it from an old friend back in the day, and I beat it.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it was called Rayman 64. Is what I think.
Good limb. Yeah. Good guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to
we might see that.
Kind of that. What do you say?
We might actually see that that genre come back, even just for a little bit. That'd be really nice. I'd love that.
And that's what I'm saying. And I think it's been a while since that's been revisited, especially now that games are so much bigger and they can do so much more now. And I know, Jacob, I don't mean to bring this up and hurt you, man, but so like Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, it was one of the reasons it was so disappointing is because it was so big, but they didn't let you do anything to really enjoy that. Go in a car and drive that way. I don't want to. Like, I wish there were some sort of tree or mountain to climb or something.
I mean, they got rid of the whole original formula. Their biggest issue with that game was they set it up as saying like this was the next Banjo-Kazooie game, like the old games, and they made you do a completely different mechanic with the cars. And I'm not saying it was that like the mechanic and idea. From what I hear about it, actually, is it actually was a really good game for what it was, but it got such a bad rap because they promised something else and gave you something different. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like if they gave us this Mario game, like, you're going to build cars in the new Mario Odyssey. Like, I don't want to build a car and drive it around. This ain't Mario Kart. I want a Mario adventure. So that gives people a bad rap.
Oh, yeah. And I think it'd be good to see that come back, like I said, to explore that space, that hasn't been explored in a long time. Which, speaking of which, this might transition to something else. Out today, I was going to pick it up. I didn't get a chance to pick it up yet. Snake Pass. Have you seen this?
Yeah, it's downloading right now.
Oh, there you go. So, it looks very, very interesting.
Yeah, it looks very much like this game. I got it to satisfy my hunger for ukulele.
There you go.
For whenever we may get it. No, yeah, I know it's downloading right now. I'm a little bit peeved about that too, to be honest, because all day long I waited. I had the day off, and I expect it's supposed to be released the 28th. So I go, and it's not available. And I hear it's going to be available at 3. It's not available at 3. It didn't come available till 7:00 and tonight. Wow. I'm like, if this was a physical version, this would have been on store shelves as soon in the morning. When I went to the store, if I had to pick it up, I would have been able to get it. So like, I've been waiting to play all day, and it's now downloading. It's still downloading. This is taking a long time to download, and it's like, I haven't got to play it. I expected to play all day long. I mean, granted, I got a lot further in Zelda, but
yeah, there you
go. Which is fine. I mean, but I really have been looking forward to this game, and goodness gracious, I wasn't able to get it.
Yeah, but that definitely speaks into the just different ways to explore platformers. Think like a snake, I think, is the tagline on it, and
it's really cool.
You have to explore as a snake, not as like a jumping person or all these cool tricks. It's like, nope, I slither, I coil, and that's about it. And
yeah, it's really unique, very unique. I like it. I hope it does really well. So I'm hoping I enjoy it.
I'd love to see revival with innovation like that.
Yeah. With what?
I'd love to see revival with innovation, like being a snake and having different exploration options as platforming. And
right. Yeah, I think that can be a great way to mix up the 3D platformer. But David Wise, he does the soundtrack for it. And I was just hearing some ukulele music before this, and I'm like, I was hearing the David Wise tracks, which he does the minecart tracks for that game, and I'm like, man, nice. I'm really glad that Snake Pass is downloading right now, because I get a whole new game devoted to David Wise music, who did the Donkey Kong Country games. So that's exciting. Just a quick little quote I found for this ukulele news. Many Nintendo Switch owners are wondering when they can get their hands on ukulele. The Xbox One and PlayStation 4 versions of the game are out in just a couple of weeks, leaving Switch owners a little frustrated. The developer Playtonic says that it's a bit early to go into specifics regarding the Nintendo Switch version, which makes it sound as though it's some ways off. But the quote from them is, "It's a bit too early to go into specifics with this version, but rest assured we're working directly with Nintendo to get it out as soon as possible for our many fans and Kickstarter backers on that platform. We're big Nintendo fans here, so it's very exciting to be working on Nintendo Switch." So which kind of gives me the impression that it's still a ways off. And like, I don't know, guys, let's be realistic. When do you guys think this game is going to be released? I mean, do you think this is going to come out in the summer, early summer, or do you think this is like, are we looking at like fall? Ryan?
My big guess is June. It's not too far away. I don't want it to be fall. I don't think it's going to be fall. I think maybe working with Nintendo, they're working on maybe doing what Nintendo does, where they make big games, but they make them in small spaces. There's not as much memory taken up and stuff like that. And that might be some of the stuff they're working on, shrinking the game down, but not actually like sacrificing quality and stuff to port it over to the Switch. We'll see. I mean, it's not like it doesn't look like a super graphic powerhouse. I mean, it's cartoony, but it could, underneath all that, it could be. Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually could see it being around June also. Again, you talk about E3 news we were talking about earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if, during kind of a big package at E3, they're like, oh, yeah, and ukulele's out today, and drop one of those. And then maybe even get, again, this is me wishful thinking, is maybe it's delayed because they're putting some extra Switch features in there that aren't in the other ones. That'd be cool.
I really hope that like they're throwing a bone to Nintendo fans, and that may sound entitled, but like it's just we've been getting the backhand so many times, and the Wii version, right? Yeah, the Wii version had to get canceled. We don't even know like the lack of news for the Switch version. Like we didn't know for a while if it was even coming to Switch. We didn't know. We still don't know if we're getting a physical version, and we don't know the release date. So it's like, come on, like release an amiibo with it or something. I hope when you say you're working with Nintendo, that's what you're doing. You know, I hope that there is something special for the Switch version to be like, hey, you guys, you can't get this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm excited. Ukulele's gonna. It's in my super excited games. I know I was listing just the first party titles a little bit ago as that. What more do you need? But yeah, ukulele, I'll take that too. Sure, yeah.
I mean, that's basically getting if we got Banjo 3 with Mario and Zelda. It's amazing. Yeah. And I agree with that. And then I had a back part of my news here. Did you guys? This is just nothing crazy, but did you guys see the Nintendo 64 Switch dock that someone made?
It's beautiful. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like, that was awesome. Like, how do you do that? First off. And second off, would you want one? Or would you want one of your favorite system?
It's a good question.
I can see that. I could see the advantage and the coolness, if that's a word, of getting a custom Switch dock. I like the 64 one looked kind of cool. I'd like to figure out a way you could set the Switch on its other side and do that. So maybe have like I got my top loader NES. That's pretty sweet. I'd like to see a top loader NES charging dock or something. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
I would totally figure out a way to do. I have some Virtual Boys sitting around here that don't work, and I would totally find out a way to do that.
I thought it was cool.
The Switch in front of the visor, that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't know if I would per se would actually do it if I had the opportunity to. Like, I thought it was cool, and the 64 is my favorite system. But I have to say, I don't know, with each generation, I like to keep it its own. Like, I don't want to decorate my Switch to look like the Nintendo 64. Like, the Switch is the Switch, and this is its time to shine. And, now, Joy-Cons are a little different. I would love to get, a themed Joy-Con that's like the Super Nintendo, the 64, the GameCube, the SNES, the NES. I think that'd be really cool. But, nah, it was cool. I just wanted to throw that as a little fun tidbit out there. I didn't know if you guys saw that or not, but... So guys, we can run through this part real quick. What have you been playing? Ryan, go for it.
Well, not my Switch.
He doesn't have a Switch.
Oh man.
Burn.
You had to bring it up,
I had to rub salt in the wound.
Though I did get to play some of the test fire before I sent my system off, before it started freaking out on me. You can go to the Nintendo Nostalgia chat and see that video. It was pretty crazy. I think I commented to my my housemate that I think it's possessed. It was really freaking out. It was crazy.
It was.
You were in need of a exorcism on that bad boy.
So I've not been playing it a whole ton. I mean, I dusted off my 3DS. There was actually some dust collected on it. And I played. What was I playing? I didn't want to play Pokemon, so I think I did Badge Arcade a lot.
Badge Arcade. Okay.
Collecting more badges.
Always need them badges, yeah.
Then I did play a little bit of Yoshi's Island, because I hadn't actually played that with intent to enjoy it. I played it as a kid and didn't quite get it.
Oh, man. That game is so good.
I'm finding that out now. Very much so.
Oh, man, it's so good. That's another one. If you guys ever decide to do that one, I'd like to publicly on air call dibs on that episode. That's a great one.
I think it's already been called, Tom.
Dang it. Oh.
Now you've got...
By me or somebody else? Come on.
By somebody else.
Dang it.
It's in the works. Don't worry, Tom. You're on lots more episodes than all the original guests. So you got...
That's all right. Just expect me to comment a lot in the chat about that episode. I got a lot of thoughts.
That's fine. Absolutely. Interact. What have I been playing? Zelda, loving it, playing it lots. We already talked about that at the top of the show. I played a little bit of the test fire last week. I played it at 3:00 that Friday, and I sucked. And just
Did you get any better? Did you improve?
No, because I never got to play another test fire. So,
okay.
I wanted to, but I would either forget or something was actually going on to where I couldn't do it for the other ones. So, I'll get the game. I'm not going to not get it. I was thinking about not getting it just because, like, the whole point is, guys, you want to have fun, okay? And like, with Splatoon, the only way I've had fun with it in the past was when I played the one-player campaign mode, and I wasn't super good at that myself, anyways. But so like, it's the same thing with Mario Kart 8. These games I had on the Wii U, I didn't have a lot of people to play with, and the only people I actually really did get to play mostly with was actually my buddy Traven. And if you guys know Traven, he's literally like, he's the best gamer I've ever known in my entire life. I mean, he just to give you a sniff of how good he is, when he got his Switch, he got Zelda Breath of the Wild, he was one of the people that went straight for Ganon. Like, as soon as he got the plateau, just went straight there. And he got to Ganon, and he actually forced himself to quit when he realized he was doing major damage to Ganon and could beat the game. And he wanted to not beat Ganon before he actually played the rest of the game. So he stopped because he's just that freaking good. So with that said, I played Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon, the first one on the Wii U, and who would I play competitively with was Traven. And the dude like kicks my butt every time. It's like, I can't compete with him. And it's like, I love playing with the guy, but when you just lose every time, it's not really fun. So the only game I can get him sometimes is Smash Bros. And half the time, like, I'm like I'm Link, and I'm all serious, and like it's a tournament, and he's like goofing around with like Jigglypuff or something, and takes it. Yeah, Wario or Rob.
Hey, Wario's good, man. Rob is good. That's my main dude. Did we talk about Rob like that?
Oh, well, he's good. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying, like, Traven, he doesn't even pull his best guns out on me. He's like just playing around, having fun, taking me to the limits. So I didn't really have great experience with Splatoon, and I'm going to try. I promise. I'm not going to flake out on everybody. I'm willing to practice, and now that I have more people to play with, hopefully that'll help me.
There you go.
But so I played Splatoon 2 a little bit, and I'm wanting to get Steak Pass, and it's still downloading. I just checked.
Yeah.
It's still downloading as we record this. So, But that's all I've been playing. Tom, how about you?
Nice. Yep. I like many of us still playing that Zelda. I mentioned earlier at the top of the show, I beat it last night. So I say beat it. Let's be fair. I beat Ganon last night. Obviously, I still have many much things to collect and to finish, and I don't have all the armor. I don't have half the shrine. Well, I got a little over half the shrines, I guess, but that's still another half of the shrines to get and all that. So I'll be still working on that. I mentioned I picked up Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah.
Got into that. That's, man, first of all, beautiful. Second of all, man, that really scratched an itch because you guys brought up Yoshi's Island. I was like, man, I love that game. And Woolly World, it does a good job like of scratching that itch. It's not exactly Yoshi's Island, but man, it's pretty darn good.
I've heard it's like the closest Yoshi game they've made to capturing that feeling.
I feel like that's true. I do. So that's really, really good. I enjoy playing that. I'm going to have to look at getting some other Wii U games that I've missed. Now that I've been playing all the Zelda, I'll realize I've never played Hyrule Warriors. I need to get that.
Oh, yeah. It's a fun game.
Yeah. I enjoy the Dynasty Warriors just because it's blind mashing and going through waves and waves of people. And I was like, why did I never play Hyrule Warriors? Because then I could just do that, but with Link. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I've been playing that. And then that's been about it for me. Just doing that, hopping on a Bomberman R every once in a while on the Switch, and I'm not impressed with that game. And maybe that's another discussion for another time. But I'm kind of getting a buyer's remorse on that one.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I hate that because I love Bomberman, but it's just not doing it for me.
Well, we can talk about that another time. I think, I want to do some episodes down the road, where maybe we talk about some of these Switch games now that we've had some time with them and been able to play them fully and just kind of share our thoughts on them and our final opinions on them. But guys, I think that's good enough discussion. We've talked a lot already. So I want to hop into the topic of the week, Mega Man 2. right. This game was released in America back in June 11th, 1989, before I was even born, guys.
Yeah, young gun.
Please. I wasn't even alive. You two were alive. How does that feel?
Oh, I was pretty alive. Yeah, by this point, I was definitely alive.
Well, I'll just hop into real fast. My first experiences with Mega Man / Mega Man 2 was, I think the first time I ever saw Mega Man, I don't know what game it was, but I grew up on a farm. My dad would always bale hay, and there was a field he was baling hay one summer, and there's these old people who lived on the land. I guess my dad didn't own the land he was farming. I had to be there and sit in his truck while my brothers and him were in the middle of summer heat baling hay. And they just told my dad to let me come in and be in the air conditioning, because I was just a little boy. I couldn't bale anything like that. And I remember they had an original Nintendo and they had Mega Man, and I remember playing it there and just getting to chill in the air conditioning and get a snack or whatever while they were all in the hot heat bailing. So that was probably my very first experience with Mega Man. And then my second experience is Traven had all the Mega Man X games for the Super Nintendo. So I remember being terrible at those and watching him play, and he was awesome at them. And then my third experience with Mega Man was the one that came out for PlayStation. I had an old friend back in elementary school. It was the 3D World one, and you were Mega Man and
Legends.
Yeah, maybe that was it. I didn't know what the heck to do in the game. I know that.
Yeah.
But I remember watching him play that. I don't think he knew what he was doing either, because we didn't get very far. So
those games are great. Yep.
So then my latest experience with Mega Man was the Mega Man 2 for the NES Classic, baby. Oh, I fired that thing up and I died all the time.
Oh. I totally forgot it was on that and the NES Classic. I could have been playing it on there and I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Dang.
Wow.
Ryan.
Missed opportunity.
Fumble.
Oh yeah.
You're all upset about your Switch and you could be playing your NES Classic.
That's what it was, yeah.
So guys, honestly, that's my only experience with Mega Man too. Tom really wanted to bring Mega Man to the table, and
baby,
I can't say no to him because this is his favorite franchise, and Tom's got a lot to say. And I know a lot of people like this game. I know Mr. Marty from Nintendo Dads really likes Mega Man, and he's he said you should.
He's got the profile picture and everything.
He does. He does. He's like, you should have had me on there. Marty's going to be joining us here soon, but I was like, yeah, sorry, Marty. We'll get you on for another.
I'll tell you what, Marty, hit me up. We'll get the Mega Man cast going because there's so much.
Uh-oh. We might have lost a member in the Nintendo Dads.
Yeah, there you go. Starting the Mega Man cast.
Mega Man cast. So, guys, take it away. I'm going to be pretty quiet today, so have at it.
So, my first experience with the game was actually not on a Nintendo system. It was actually an arcade cab that I had played. It was definitely Mega Man 2. It was my first Mega Man that I can remember. I had seen Mega Man before. I saw him with the blue helmet and everything. But then I saw that there was Mega Man without the helmet on, and that really intrigued me. I thought that was so cool. I was like, oh wow, he has hair underneath the helmet. That's so cool. And so I played it, and I spent a lot of quarters on that one. The level with the platforms that appear and disappear.
Oh, dude,
I mastered that level. I go over to a friend's house later, and they'd have me do that level because I was so good at it. Yeah,
that's my least favorite thing in the world. I'll probably bring that up later. But that is, as much as I love Mega Man, that is my number one most hated thing in Mega Man are those stupid blocks. Nope, not doing it.
But I did that with an arcade stick, so
that's intense.
So what about you? What was your first experience with this game?
Okay. All right, boys. Let me have a seat. Let me spin you a yarn. So, the game was released in 1989 in the U.S., and at this point, I'm a whole 4 years old. The following year is when I get my NES. 5 years old, I remember getting that. I still have flash, like little memories. You know, sometimes you have memories that are just like flashes. You don't remember everything, but you're like, I remember this specific thing. I remember getting my NES at 5 years old. Went to Sears with my parents, or one of those retail stores. I don't know if it was Sears, but we picked it up. I feel like there was Double Dragon there. There was a couple other games, Mario Brothers, of course. And then my cousin, who was my best friend growing up, we did everything together. He ended up getting one like right after I did, an NES. And, you know, his parents brought, you know, when you're that young, parents buy games, not just for you, but they're buying them for them too, you know? So my dad was buying games that he liked playing, and my cousin's dad was buying games that he liked playing. And, you know, we're just playing around one summer. This is probably 91 or so. So I'm 6 years old. And, you know, I go up to my cousin's room. We're going to play some games. And I'm going through his games. I'm like, whoa, what is this? And, man, I can still see it. I got it sitting over here on my shelf, and I could probably grab it and tell you. But I can tell you exactly what that – I remember seeing that cartridge. I'm like, what is this? Who's this guy with the little gun? Because if you know anything about Mega Man, you know that the cartridge and box art is terrible. It is terrible, especially for the first three games. They're just bad. It's just bad. I'd say the first two. Three's not too bad. He starts to look like Mega Man by three. But the first two box arts are just so bad. But I'm like, what game is this? He's like, I don't like it. It's dumb. And I was like, I'll play it. You know, and we used to borrow each other's games all the time anyway. So I was like, I'll borrow it. I'll take it home, because he didn't want to play it at the time. So I took it home, and boy, oh boy, was it love at first sight. Like I loved everything about it. I loved the colors really pop in that game. I love the sprites. You know, I'm a sucker for good sprites anyway. So I love the sprites, how everything moved. I like that Mega Man was kind of this stocky little guy. Like, you know, he's not a thin, jumpy dude. You know, you felt the weight of Mega Man because the controls, you know, the gun felt right. The jumping was, you know, he was heavy when he fell. The controls are so tight. Like, and this is more of a retrospect at this point, but the controls are so tight. Like, as frustrated as I got as a kid, I never thought it was the game's fault. Like, I still felt like, man, I just got to get better at this. And you still feel that way when you play it. But then, you know, you got the sprites and everything, and then the music in Mega Man 2, which I'll probably talk about more later, is outstanding. Like, everybody at home, let me tell you this. Outstanding soundtrack. Mega Man 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's one of the greatest games of all time. But this soundtrack is the best soundtrack to any game ever. And I will stand by that, and fight me in the comments. It is outstanding. So that music stuck with me. And then, gosh, just the gameplay, just playing it. Because my biggest thing was, when you finally, again, as a kid, you're not very good at Mega Man, because Mega Man's a little demanding. You got to be good at it.
Yes.
So as a kid, oh yeah. So as a kid, you get to Mega Man, you get to one of the bosses, you did something. Daggone it, you did it. And then that first time I get to a boss, and I just keep getting killed by a boss, and finally I beat the boss. And to this day, I still remember it was Metal Man. It was still Metal Man. And I beat him, and my world was changed forever. Because that's when I learned that when you beat a boss in Mega Man, you get his power. And I was like, no way. So, I mean, you look at it up to this point, you know, some of my favorite stuff in the world was Ninja Turtles, and you know, they had so many colorful different bosses and stuff at the time in the cartoon and everything. And just the idea of like, wait, so if I beat that guy, I get that power. I mean, even from a Mario Brothers perspective, how crazy would it be is the first time you beat Bowser, it's like, okay, now you can shoot fireballs that go across the whole level and just wipe dudes out. Like, oh, okay, like that's awesome. So Mega Man does that. So, you know, my first Mega Man experience is 2, and I fall in love deeply, 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 because at that point I wanted to play everything that had Mega Man's name on it. It kind of bugged me that I didn't play 1 until I was probably in junior high. By the way, those of you wondering at home if Mega Man 1 is any good, it is not. 1 is pretty bad. 2 does everything correct the way it should be. But man, that was kind of my first. It was love at first sight, and like I said, I can get into this, and it's just it's so good. But like, so with Mega Man 2, though, what was like some of the first things that really stood out to you, like that you remember just grabbing you when you first played it?
I've always been fascinated with the enemies with the cross hats.
Yeah, the Mets. Yeah, I think they're called Mets.
Yes. Like, I don't know. I was just absolutely enthralled by them. Like, I liked how, like, it was hard to hit them, and they popped up, and, they could shoot you and what have you. But, and, like, I liked the mechanic where you hit it and it bounced off, like their helmet. Mm-hmm. That was really cool.
Yep.
I really, really liked that element and the colors, and that just really, I've always been fascinated with that character.
Oh yeah, it's great. I love the Mets, and yeah, you're right. Not just the bosses, because the bosses are obviously very unique. At the end of the game, when you beat it, it plays through the credits and it shows you that each boss had a specific creator that was responsible for just that boss, which is kind of cool. That shows how unique each one of those bosses are. But then, just the little things that you shoot in a level. There are so many different ones, and that's where this game kind of defines and becomes the father of the action platformer. In my opinion, I feel like that's what it does, because what you get is this, you have to jump over pits. Yeah, you have to jump upstairs. You have to climb ladders, get places. Like, you got those light platform elements. But what was really interesting was always the way you had to attack the different enemies throughout the level, because, there's different ones. Again, I'm going back to Metal Man's level because it's like my first level. I can play that with my eyes closed probably right now. But, you have different ones that crawl on the ground. You have things that come from above. You have the guys that are a walking wall that come towards you, and you have to shoot it at a specific spot. Mm-hmm. All these different things. So, like, it takes that platforming aspect. Is like, you got to jump up on the ledge, but also make sure that stupid bird robot doesn't drop an egg, and then you get swarmed with 30,000 little birds and, those type of things. So that's one thing I agree with you 100%, that just the regular bosses, listen to me. The regular enemies are something really, really cool.
Now, speaking of like vibrant colors, what was going on there was a level that was like all sky based.
Yeah,
there was like
Airman.
Boxes. Yeah. There was these boxes that had like faces on them and like drills. Like, what exactly were they thinking that? Like, what is that?
I don't know. I even as a kid, I was like, that's something Japanese. I don't know what that is. Like, that's something Japanese. It kind of had a kabuki look to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that was tough too, because those stupid little drills that come out literally on the edges. So it's like, I'm just going to jump up here. No, you're not. You're going to get spiked is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So, looks like Jacob's got Snake Pass going on the,
yes.
He decided, you guys, Jacob has been pretty quiet on us because he muted the mic to go get Snake Pass. So we're going to talk about Mega Man 2 while Jacob gives us live flashes of Snake Pass, I guess, here.
The first level was pretty fun, actually. Pretty difficult.
Hey, there you go.
Very different to move around as a snake.
This is live. This is a live review, folks at home. You don't get this anywhere else. Only on Nintendo Nostalgia. Leave 5 stars on the iTunes. All right?
That's right. Have at it. Continue on.
Yeah. So, but yeah, dude, and you mentioned the giant heads there in Airman stage, the sprites, because I've mentioned this on last podcast, but I'm a huge sucker for big sprites. And this game it's got those mini bosses, you know what I'm saying? So like you look at Woodman stage, you get down to the bottom and there's like those wolf guys that throw fire. And Bubble Man stage, you go underneath and there's the little lantern fish that spit out shrimp, and those are huge and you got to get past them. And the game just does such a great job of like upping the ante. Every time you're moving somewhere, every time you feel like you've done something, no, dude, you just scratched the surface. And of course, that climaxes with the end of the game, but
the game also, like, it taunts you with colorful things like extra lives, just getting off on ledges that are
just
really,
right there.
really hard.
Just go get it. Yeah.
It looks so easy. No, it's not.
Yeah. So on the last, dude, it's a trap. Trust me. Those of you that are going to go play Mega Man 2 for the first time, if you see something sitting on like a little platform, you're like, oh, I just got to get up there. Don't do it. Don't do it. It punishes you for being greedy. But yeah, I just like I was on the Link to the Past episode. And, I was kind of giving my thoughts on how Link to the Past actually, I shouldn't say it's my thoughts. It's a fact that Link to the Past defined what Zelda would become for many, many years afterwards. Mega Man 2 did that for the Mega Man series. Starting with Mega Man 2, you got stuff like the The password system, that was a big deal because that was something that made Mega Man nice. And all those NES games, if it didn't have an internal save battery, the game was cheaper if it used, password system. So Mega Man 2 started like, we should get passwords. Started that. Things that even define what as Mega Man. So stuff like the energy tanks, the E-tanks that fill your health all the way up if you use them. And you could kind of save those back and wait for a moment and then use them. Stuff like that. I'm not a big tattoo guy. I don't have any tattoos, mainly because I think I look dumb with them or would look dumb with them. But my dream was always to have an E-tank on my right shoulder, man. Just looking awesome. Big Mega Man E-tank.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I think it would look pretty sweet, especially if I got a little cut, then it would look like really cool. But, it started the whole idea of 8 bosses because Mega Man 1 only has 6 bosses. And that's a podcast for another day about how much I'm glad Mega Man 1 exists, but in the scope of the rest of its legacy, it's pretty bad. But it started the whole 8 bosses thing. It had the movement items. Now later generations, especially, in 3 is when it started. That's when you get Rush. Rush becomes your movement guy, the little dog. But in this one, you have items 1, 2, and 3, which are kind of your movement guys. Number 1 is like a platform that just floats up, which helps you get around some stuff. 2 is how I got around those stupid blocks in Heat Man stage that you love so much. I would just use number 2, which is just a jet that goes straight. So I would jump above those blocks, use the item number 2, and we're just going to cruise to the end of the level. Screw these blocks.
Oh, that's cheating.
That's not cheating. That's playing smart. That's playing with power. All right. That's what it is.
All right.
I agree.
Yeah. So you got that going on with the movement items. That really does define many other Mega Man games with Rush. They basically put a face on the movement items, and he's pretty cute. I like Rush, but it does that. It has a whole opening cinematic, which is great because that started becoming a thing within a lot of NES games of the late 80s, 88, 89. So like I think a Ninja Gaiden had a really full.
That's what comes to mind for me.
Absolutely. And then with awesome music, you know what I'm saying? So this one had you guys have seen it. Even if those of you at home listening, you say, I haven't played Mega Man 2 a lot. You've seen this intro and you've heard this song. I guarantee it. If you've been around games for any amount of time, it's the slow pan up the building as it's telling the year 20XX, or 200X, I think 20XX is Mega Man X. I love Mega Man lore. That's another podcast also, but it's panning up the building with just that slow build, nice and like, man, this world is at peace, and then stuff starts blowing up, and you're like, what's happening? And the music changes with it, and you're just moving up this building, and even as a child, you immediately go, how tall is this building? By the way, like it's huge. You get to the top and it just hits that Mega Man 2 title screen music. Oh, it's hitting it, man. You feel it. Because in Japan, Mega Man is Rockman. And it makes way more sense in this game because this soundtrack rocks, dude. You just feel it. It's so good. But see, I just waxed super nostalgic for that opening cutscene. But I'm just saying, it sets that up for other Mega Man games. Yeah. The other Mega Man games have those opening cinematics like that. And those things, they all define Mega Man for the next goodness. I mean, still now. Well, I shouldn't say still now. They're not doing anything with them, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. So you played Mega Man 2. Did you beat it as a kid? Like, was it?
I did not beat it as a kid.
Okay.
No way. Nope. No way. No how. I didn't beat that until I was probably in high school.
All right.
Because it's about an annual thing I pick up and just mess with Mega Man 2 specifically. I'd say it's been an annual thing since I was about 6 or 7 years old. Because eventually I had to give that copy back to my cousin. And of course, years go by, they sell all their stuff. And I'm like, but I would have taken Mega Man. No. Because he also had 4. He had Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 4. And I was like, no, I wanted the Mega Man games. But I ended up getting my 3rd grade year. I have physical proof of this. My third grade year, I got Mega Man 5 for my birthday, and I was super super stoked about that because it was my very own Mega Man. And I have proof because it was my 3rd grade year. So you're looking at what, 1993, and It was some little like craft we had to do in third grade. And it was like, my favorite thing in the world is, and mine says Mega Man 5. It says it right there. Like it's my favorite thing in the whole world. So, but that went away. And then it wasn't until I started hitting up the GameStop scenes in early high school when I had a job and stuff, all the different GameStops that I finally got me a copy of Mega Man 2. Somebody had it. And I think I paid like $20 for it. And I was like, worth it. Put the 20 down. So then since then, I'll pick it up just about every year and play through it. And because it's not if you know what you're doing in that game, there's a steep learning curve. I'll tell you that. So once you learn what you're doing though, and you know the stuff, you can beat it under an hour pretty easy.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I totally wrote a speed run record on this bad boy. Is 27 minutes 51 seconds.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's nuts. I watched it before this. I won't lie.
When did you figure out, or did you figure out in your childhood days about the different boss powers being effective against other bosses?
You know what? This is going to sound weird, and this is going to make me sound like I'm some sort of, I don't know. No one's going to believe me when I say this. It was by accident. I just thought that, so like Metal Blade was the first thing I got, which, by the way, Metal Blade is broken in this game. It's got a huge hitbox. You can shoot it in all 8 directions. It uses the least amount of energy of all of the different weapons. So like you can just spam Metal Blades for days in all 8 directions. So to me, my logic, even a child's logic, was I have a saw blade. What enemy is weak to saw blades? So Woodman, obviously. So you cut down forests with saw blades. So that's where this one's also a little different from the other Mega Man games, where this does have the boss weaknesses and everything. But like some bosses, there's like, I don't know what else to call them other than like sub weaknesses. So there's one thing that they're like super weak to, and you can kill them with like 2 or 3 shots of it. Then there are some things they're like sub weak to that they do more damage than other things, but not as little as your Buster, So I eventually, fought my way as a child to Woodman, which took forever, just to realize that, he has a shield that reflects stuff. That's stupid. So I beat Woodman with Metal Man, and then I didn't know where to go from there. I'm like, I don't know what grass would hurt. I don't know. So I went to Bubble Man, used my leaf and realized it was doing nothing to him. So I switched to my go-to Metal Blades and realized I killed Bubble Man in 3 hits. Like, what in the world just happened? So, and that's where it kind of all fell into place there. It was like, they're all different. And I'm like, wait, bubbles, that's fire. I bet it puts out fire. Fire catches on the wood. And then, there's a few of those bosses that are really tough, though, that you wouldn't be able to guess, that logic of who you're weak to. But even then, at that point, if you have 4 weapons, you walk into one of them, it's like, well, if one of these 4 doesn't work, then it's one of the other 3 guys. And you just start playing, hey, who does this go to? Then, of course, you get older and you find game magazines and they have a nice little chart and you're like, oh, well, there's that. So just do that.
I got my real hands-on, other than like Arcade Cab, when it was re-released. Awesome. The collection was re-released on GameCube.
Yep.
And that anniversary collection, I got into that quite a bit.
That too. Yeah.
I actually got it because it had Mega Man 8 on it, which I had played a lot.
Yeah.
And so, but like I played Mega Man 2 the most here when I got the anniversary collection.
Yeah. And I did too. I did you're talking about 2?
Yes, I heard that the 2 was the best one. So. Oh,
hands down. I think that's of the mainline Mega Man series, because X shows up a few years later and changes everything again. But of the mainline Mega Man games, 2 it's almost impossible to beat. I let people argue 3. 3 is really, 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 really good. I still think 2 beats it out, but 3 is the one I allow in the argument. Everything else is nope. It's 2. Trust me. But speaking of the Mega Man collection for GameCube, I was a little sad about that one because I love my GameCube and I love my Mega Man. But that was the worst version of that Legacy collection because they swap your jump and shoot buttons. Of course, anybody that Yeah, they made A your shoot button and B your jump button on the GameCube controller, and it was backwards because normally you shoot with, I look at it as thumb tip. Okay, so you shoot with your thumb tip and you jump with the base of your thumb. So on the NES you'd shoot with B, jump with A. But on the GameCube they flipped it. They figured the big button, the predominant button, should be the shoot button because that's what Mega Man does. But it's like, every Mega Man up to that point. Like it works better if you can shoot with your thumb tip and then come down with the base of your thumb to jump. That's how it works. So that's how GameCube did it. I was like, that's fine. I'll just swap the buttons. There's no button swap. I was like, you can't switch this? So as much as I loved having all 8 Mega Mans plus the 2 arcade games, by the way, on that, as much as I loved having those, it upset me, and I still went out and bought the PS2 version eventually, just so I could have that, accessibility. Mm-hmm. But yeah, now speaking of the controls, when you had your first experience with it, did you feel they were fair? Because I mentioned that earlier. Like when I picked it up, I thought I was like, okay, I just got to get good at this. But did you feel like the controls were fair at all? Like when you played that?
I did get frustrated, but I didn't feel like it was bad controls. Like I felt like it was right. And the annoying hitboxes of enemies knocking you around and stuff, and just like the timing and everything. The timing and everything just felt right. Like it's not because it's lagging or it's not responding well. It's that my timing is off. It's my skill. It's not the game's fault. And I felt like that was really my take from the controls was, this is something I have to get good at, and this is actually, I'm going to be better for playing this. And that's, like I said, I played with an arcade cab stick. Like that's, like I had the buttons, it was just, it wasn't that high of a control thing anyway, but it didn't feel like it was something that was wrong. It just felt like it's something I need to get better at.
Yeah. And you know what? And the game does that. Just the essence of what Mega Man is, because this is something I'll get into later, but there's a true philosophy behind Mega Man, like that kind of goes into its game design, but also like philosophically as in like the thought behind it. And that it really, Mega Man has one of the reasons I love him is he's actually kind of changed the way I look at the world. Like, and maybe I'll get to that later, but you mentioned, it felt, like you had to get the timing right. Mega Man is a game, especially Mega Man 2 specifically. Some of the other Mega Mans do it, some of them not so much. Is a game where you feel like Mega Man would feel. As far as like you start out, you're bad. I don't know how much lore of Mega Man do you know? Like,
honestly, not much other than I don't know how much I knew and how much I've forgotten. So really, it's very bare minimum right now.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, a lot of people don't, because the games don't really get into it. You have to kind of like dig for Mega Man lore inside the games. They're in the opening cutscenes, but like that's about it, But Mega Man was a house bot, made by Dr. Light. Like he was kind of a son thing. Got a very Geppetto Pinocchio relationship going on there. I have a few theories that it is kind of a modern Pinocchio idea. So, but anyway, in the first game, basically Dr. Wily, good old Dr. Wily, they could have picked a better name, I guess, for a villain, but he's Wily, and he reprograms all of Light's robots that he built to like help the city out, and they all go and run amok, all 6 of them. So then he has to convert. Mega Man volunteers, basically, Dad, just let me help, let me do something. So he has to convert his son robot housekeeper person into this fighting robot who has no battle experience or anything. So you do that. So by the time of the second game, Wily is now, he's like, you know what? I don't need your stupid robots. I'll build my own stupid robots, and builds his 8 robots. So now Mega Man's like, well, I guess I got to do this again. And you kind of have your hard drive wiped essentially, because that's why people are always like, why don't your powers transfer over from the other games? Right. Because he can't hold them all, okay? So he has his hard drive wiped, and then he he goes out to for science, yeah. So, but he goes out and has to go fight these 8 robot dudes. So as a player, I bring all that up to say this. As a player, you kind of feel like Mega Man to begin with. You don't know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never been here before. I've never fought a Metal Man. I have never fought a Crash Man. You know, you have all these things you have to learn just like he learns. But as you go on over time and as you adapt, you know, their powers into your own repertoire and stuff, like you get better. So by the end of it, so by every little thing, because that's something great that the game does too, is every little thing you conquer feels great. So it's like, woo, made that jump. All right. Into, woo, I made that jump and shot that thing at the same time. That was awesome. Woo, I got past the mini boss. Woo, I got to the boss gates, which I can't be the only person in the world that every time they reach the boss gates, they see the little Dr. Wily thing with the boss gate right there. You like, oh gosh. And you get into it and you hear that classic clack, 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 clack. You know, it opens up, closes.
Yeah.
You sit the controller down for a minute and you just go,
every time.
Oh, okay. All right. Like okay.
Every time.
And it does a mental thing. Just that little space between those 2 gates. There's this whole mental aspect that it forces the player into that also Mega Man is probably feeling himself as a character of like, whew, okay, here he comes. You know, behind that other gate is the boss. You know it. Like, it's time to do this. So you have to psych yourself up. You go in there, you get your butt beat, you restart, you know. So I love that this game in particular does this better, I think, than all the other Mega Man games, or at least all the other Mega Man games just ape this. But this feeling of like, man, you are growing with Mega Man. You're figuring it out with Mega Man. So like I said, now that I know it inside and out, now that I'm an experienced Mega Man, if you will, when I go to sit down and play Mega Man 2, I'm like, this is nothing. Like I can get through this. I know where this stuff is at. So that's why each Mega Man game becomes more exciting, at least as a consumer, because you're like, I'm ready to rediscover those things again and try something more difficult. So that's why it's a little disappointing when 4 makes it too easy by giving you a charge shot, and 5 just makes everybody kind of underpowered, and your charge shot is somehow bigger than in 4, and it can hit more things. And so it's a little disappointing as you go on. I like 6. 6 was good. That's a side note. But I'm off topic now because I was thinking about which ones are better. But that's something that Mega Man 2 does that I just love, that it makes you grow with the character. And whether you know you're doing it or not, you are.
You also grow as a gamer, as a platformer gamer. The unforgiving nature of it, like to start all the way back at the beginning of a level, and to get those controls down pat, like that really grows you. And those are the building blocks to become a great gamer. I find my experience with Mario, my experience with Mega Man, my experience with Metroid, all of these platformers have built me up, and I've taken this into other games that have some elements to platforming and like timing even, like just my timing would be terrible if I hadn't played these early games that trained me to be what I am today. And like Smash Brothers, especially, like, oh my goodness, is that like perfect timings and knowing when to press the button at the right time, like that. These things were just trained from NES era. And I think Mega Man is the pinnacle example of get good.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. You just got to get good. And again, you feel like it's your fault when you don't. You're like, this is me. I got to do this. I got to train. You know, but you know, I mentioned a second ago, I'll kind of maybe end my thoughts on Mega Man 2 with this, but this was a game that changed me personally. You know, we talk about nostalgia, and there's nostalgia, and then there's like life-changing moments. And then, but I remember as a kid playing this game, you know, and the coolest thing again to me was I could beat the bosses and take their powers. That's nuts. But it kind of dawned on me, even at a young age, like sometimes you got to adapt. You know what I mean? Like in life, you got to adapt. You have to change according to a situation. You have to maybe use something you learned somewhere else in a certain situation. But it was just things that I took away from that. And even now, I really do. I use it a lot, and just the way I live my life is, you know, sometimes you got to adapt, and then you got to keep learning. You know, you got to keep learning, because that's what he does. You're always learning in that game, and not to mention the character Mega Man himself is always like learning those different powers and trying to use them in different spots. And then even like the end of the game is super somber. So like you beat Wily, he escapes because cartoons, all that stuff happens. And then it's just a real sad tune. And Mega Man's just walking through the seasons. Like there's snow, there's rain, there's spring. And he just keeps walking with this real sad tune behind it. And eventually it just always struck me because it was like, you know what? The fight goes on. And I know that's weird. I know it's a little deep for talking about Mega Man and video games, but like that's something that always like it just touched me. Is like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? There's another fight tomorrow. Like I gotta do this again. And I'll have to learn and I'll have to adapt like I always do. And then at the end, he finally stops. He looks up at the sky and then it pans out and it's just his helmet laying there and it looks really freaking cool. And I wanted to be Mega Man at that point. So I'm still waiting for technology to catch up so I can be Mega Man. I'm really waiting for that.
You can go to Think Geek and get, accessories.
Yeah, get the blaster and the helmet and everything. I would if they weren't so expensive. I would love to.
Tom, I don't think that's weird at all, man. Like I know what you're saying. I mean, I do it a lot I've done with a lot of video game characters, but I think the one I've done with number one more than anybody is Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Like watching it from a childhood, like I always thought I was silly for this, but like I don't really think I'm silly as much anymore. But like he is such a moral character. And like he stands for all good, and he
just want to do my best. Yeah,
right. Like he's always persistent, and he's always striving to be the best. But he's so humble. He's such a good character of a person.
Yeah.
And I find myself, I learned a lot of life lessons from Goku, and I try to be like Goku.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
No, you're not. And I bet you a lot of people listening to this and then in the gaming world look up to a character of some sort from an anime or a cartoon or a movie like that and a video game. And they, you're not alone. So I feel the same exact way about Goku, the way you're talking about Mega Man. And
he's my boy.
I go to Goku quotes just to, I watch that show and it motivates me not only to work out. I mean, the main reason I work out and look good is because of Goku. I want to look like Goku and Cock Diesel. But so I totally can relate. That's cool that you feel that way, and I'm glad that you shared that with everybody.
Yeah. But I guess cool. I'll stop there because you let me talk about Mega Man. I'll keep going. Like I said, where's Marty at? We'll start the Mega Man cast.
Right. We got to save room for Marty. And the next time we do a Mega Man game, we'll have you and Marty on.
Whoa. All right.
Might be a 3-hour podcast episode.
There we go. Yeah. Let's say watch out.
Well, guys, obviously, Tom, where you want people to get their hands on this game if they've never played, or any Mega Man in general. So where can they get this?
So Mega Man 2 is one of those games that are almost omnipresent. Like, you can get this game everywhere. There's all kinds of, for the collectors, I always like to hit the collectors first. Obviously, you can buy the NES copy, all right, for NES. Got mine on the shelf over there. There's even a very rare copy on the Genesis. They weren't technically released, called Wily Wars, that collects a Sega Genesis version of 1, 2, and 3, that you can get that. It's not a great version, I'll say that.
Yeah, Sega's
you
not
also
very good.
You also have the anniversary collection that Ryan and I were just talking about a little bit ago. You can get that on Xbox, PS2, GameCube. Jack's Pacific had a little plug-and-play system that featured just Capcom games that had Mega Man 2 on it. There's on your phone. You can get on your phone and buy Mega Man for $2. Mega Man 2 for $2. Yeah.
Is it Android or iPhone?
I want to say, I think it's both. It's definitely on the iTunes store, but or the App Store, I guess. But I'm almost positive it's on Android also. However, don't play it on your phone. It's bad. It just does not feel correct.
Always best for those.
And then as far as Nintendo goes, it's on the Wii the Wii Virtual Console. It's on the 3DS Virtual Console. It's on the Wii U Virtual Console. I expect when the Switch adds Virtual Console, you can get it there. Then also recently they had the Mega Man Legacy Collection, which has 1 through 6 in it. That came out for 3DS, Xbox One, and PS4. You can get them all there. It's on Steam. You can download it on Steam on your PC. Then, of course, like you guys mentioned, it's also on the NES Mini. It's on the little guy there.
Very cool. Well, Ryan, do our due diligence for us. Where can everyone find us?
You can find us on SoundCloud and iTunes, of course. Join us on Facebook. We love engaging in conversation with you. Of course, like us on, like I said, like us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating. Give us a comment. Tell us why you love us. We'd love to hear from you. You can join us on our Twitter at Nintendo_NOS. And if you want to check us out on our Gmail, it's NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. And again, I'm sorry I didn't have much input on Mega Man, but I know that I knew Tom had a lot to say. You know,
I still have actually a good half sheet of notes here that I didn't get to. Things like my favorite stage, my least favorite stage, my favorite power, my least favorite power, my favorite song, my least favorite song. Which, by the way, we mentioned where to buy the game. Let me tell you guys something. Go buy this soundtrack. You can get it on iTunes. It's a whole $10, and it even has the special PS1 version of the soundtrack, because the PS1 back in the day got basically like the Mega Man collection we got eventually. They got on the PS1. They did that, and it has some PS1 versions of the songs, which are terrible, but hey, you got them. And not to mention, this soundtrack is so good that band after band after band covers this soundtrack, and I highly recommend Bit Brigade. If you're going to get anybody's cover of this soundtrack, Bit Brigade kills it. It's so good. They even have on YouTube them doing a live concert playthrough of Mega Man 2. So a guy's playing Mega Man 2, and they're playing all the music as he plays.
Wow.
And it's that soundtrack is just that good. It deserves to be enshrined in live music at all times. Yeah.
Wow. Well, there
definitely
you have
something
it, guys.
to expect from Rockman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There you have it, guys. Go check out that stuff. Yeah, guys, I can firmly say that Snake Pass is a little hard. So I made the first world, which is just like a little hub teacher world, and then the second level. It's not. I mean, I've completed most of it, but it's that getting that mechanic down of this game. You've got to lift your head and move as a snake, and in order to wrap around and go up things, you got to like let your head down, and you have to move like a snake. I'm very getting frustrated with one part. That's why I stopped and joined back.
You know what you should do is you should stop the Snake Pass, go over to your NES Mini, and fire up Mega Man 2.
You know, I'm going to have to. I really am. It's always a game that I wanted to get into. It's just like, man, this is so difficult. I've been like, yeah, I'd rather play something else. But just for you, Tom, and for what you've done tonight, I owe you one. So
there you go. Do it.
Well, guys, what, Ryan?
I did the Link to the Past thing. You got to do the Mega Man 2.
That's true.
That's right.
Oh, crap.
Challenge
every time I come on, I'm going to challenge you. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's my new job.
That is fine. We need to get a game that Tom hasn't played so we can challenge him.
Oh, the reversal.
Yeah. I think there's that Barbie pony horse racing game that we saw. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us again, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll be back next week with some more awesome Nintendo nostalgia talk. So, catch you later, guys.
Bye.
Later.